I had to unmute as I've often made the mistake. I've often unmuted. I've often been muted. Welcome, Axanar Friday night, Axanar Confidential. Hope you're all doing well. And we have a special guest tonight, the man who's basically responsible for making sure we finish Axanar, Dave Lanyon. Dave, how you doing tonight? Welcome to Axanar Confidential.
Thank you for having me. I'm doing great. Very excited and nervous.
No need to be nervous. Hopefully, Sturm said no sound. Hopefully, we're 5x5 now. Someone just gives me a thumbs up. Yes, it's good. So I see you have the Defiant in the background. That wonderful model. You should turn it a little so everyone can see. It has a ball joint on the bottom, doesn't it?
In the middle it does, yeah.
Yeah. No. So this is a model that was up for sale. There were last year, a whole bunch of science fiction models, professionally built science fiction models went up for sale. And this was the Defiant that was there. And I told Dave he had to get it. It's just such a beautiful model. And Dave is a big DS9 fan as we are. And so, and he snagged it for a very, very good price. And so there it is as he shows off. Where are you at the office now?
I'm at the office in one of our rooms, and this is what my wife and staff put together unexpectedly for me to do this. I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, very cool.
Here we
go. Well, very good. Well, that's not a green screen. Is that an actual backdrop?
No, that my wife went out and actually ordered and got, to my surprise, a 10-foot by 20-foot screen.
Wow.
Made of a star field. So
wow.
Practical effects.
Wow. I'm going to have to ask her where she got them for, because we just today at the studio set up, not finished setting up. We basically got about halfway through setting up the captain's quarters set, which I sent you photos of as we were working on it. So it's basically, they've got, I would say it's about halfway done. But there's portholes there, windows. And rather than putting a green screen behind it, we need to do the old Star Trek: The Next Generation trick and put some black star fields in the background. I'll have to find out where your wife got yours. But you're up in Toronto, for those for people who aren't familiar with Dave. And Dave's been a donor for a while, for a couple of years. Yes, Dave?
Yeah. I think it went back to, I can't remember if it was the LA shoot. Might have been before that. I'm trying to remember. It's been a while.
Yeah. And just for everyone who's out there who's curious, it was basically about a year ago. I had sent out an email to a couple donors as I was, following up and making sure I had thanked everyone who had given to us. And Dave and I started chatting, and Dave was very generous and sent us some money for the January shoot last year. And which was very, wildly successful shoot. We were very excited about that. And then after that, Dave and I just started talking. And Dave, basically, to make the story short, Dave he asked me, he said, well, how much is it going to cost to finish this project? And I kind of told him, and he said, well, okay, I'll make sure it's done. He says, I'll give you what you need. So anyway, I'm going to ask you, Dave, let's go back. How did you get in? When did you start watching Star Trek? And tell us your Star Trek fandom.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm a little bit too young to watch it in first run, the original series. I started watching it reruns in the mid to late 70s. And I have a couple older brothers and a younger sister, and one of my older brothers was really big in Star Trek. So I just kind of followed him down that lane, and I fell in love with it. And where I grew up, we grew up in the country. Some of the kids today won't understand this. We used to have a TV dial that was called UHF.
Oh, yeah.
An aerial, and you got what you got. And the one station played Star Trek all the time. So I must have watched every episode, I couldn't tell you, 30, 40 times.
Oh, as we did, yeah.
Yeah. And I utterly fell in love with it, and the entire canon of it, and what was it about, and what was going on, and what was this Starfleet thing about. And like most fans, I kept watching the reruns until The Next Generation came along, and then started watching that. And I've been a Star Trek fan since 40 years at least, and fell in love with the entire sort of dream of how Gene Roddenberry wanted to present this thing, as I think we all did. And of course, along the way, we've all had our favorites and our things that we love less and the things that we love more. And the thing that the series I really fell in love with was Deep Space Nine. And to me, just so that we're clear, for those watching, we have a clear understanding. Captain Sisko, the captain.
Yeah, so, he is the best.
He's the best. And we all know why, because
he punched Q.
That was the entire point.
I'm sorry. I'm a little distracted. My boy Pee-wee wanted attention. But yes, no, Sisko's my favorite too. As a matter of fact, the one time I turned into a blithering fanboy was when I saw Avery Brooks in New York at the Star Trek auction in 2006. And someone said Avery Brooks was here. He just left, and I ran down the stairs after him, and I had to shake his hand, and I totally fanboyed on his ass, and it was great. He was old gentleman.
One of the best episodes of any Star Trek was in The Pale Moonlight.
Oh yeah,
that was so not Star Trek, and yet so Star Trek, because it was giving this juxtaposition between everything a Starfleet officer is and being pushed to go over those boundaries for what he thinks is the right thing to do, and while doing it, hating every step of the way. I mean, that episode I could watch 100 times. It's some of the best media ever made, as far as I'm concerned. And Avery just hit every note.
Not only that, Andy Robinson as Garak in that episode, that is the height of Garak. I mean, Garak had some great episodes because his character was phenomenal. He's my favorite character in all of Star Trek. But that episode, when Sisko comes in to confront him at the end and knocks him across his tailor shop over the table, and Garak goes into it and tells him why he had to do it, and
and how much he knew Sisko knew that and needed him to do it, even though he hated it. And he basically said, "You knew this, I was going to do this, and that's why you wanted me to do it."
Yeah, exactly. And all it cost was one criminal, one Romulan senator, and the self-respect of one Starfleet officer. I mean, Oh my God, that is one of the greatest lines in all of Star Trek.
Yeah, 100%. But I with DS9, like I liked all of them to greater or lesser degrees. But DS9 was the first one that really were ahead of their time because they were serialized. Before we knew streaming would exist and you could watch episode after episode. And that was a risky move for Star Trek to do, right? Because they were usually one-offs and only a few callbacks here and there. And DS9 said, no, we have to have this consistent through line. And the War with the Dominion, and every single character on that show had some incredible character arc. All of them. There's not one that you can't point at and say that character didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, even the tertiary characters like Admiral Ross.
Yeah.
They exposed the side of Admiral Ross, a brutal side of Admiral Ross, and then you had also the introduction of Section 31, as it should have been, not the way they're treating it nowadays, but this secret agency that no one knows about, that does what no one else will do. Deep Space Nine is the high watermark for Star Trek in it, and I believe it still is. As much as I like Strange New Worlds, which I would argue it's probably my second favorite Star Trek. Deep Space Nine is just it just hits all the notes. It really does. I want to say hi. We've got 38 viewers at the moment, and I want to say hi to everyone. Raj Kala is here. Oh my God, here's Raj Kala. Raj, we were just talking about you today. Raj Kala plays Commodore Singh, and this morning when we got to the studio, we were all sitting around eating our Chick-fil-A biscuits, and everyone wanted, and three of them hadn't seen the assemblies, which we've put together the editorial assemblies of everything we've shot. So since we're done with principal photography, Mark Edward Lewis, who will join us a little later to give us an update, has put everything together. And so Dana had seen it, but the other guys, Scott and I'm blanking. Paul hadn't seen it, and so I just pulled up my computer, and while we're eating biscuits, I played the assemblies, and we're going through it, and I said, we have 19 actors, and we've got some stars, obviously, people know, and they're who are phenomenal, and we pointed out the two actors who I'm not going to mention who. Like in Prelude, when we had, in Prelude, it was like kind of like the Richard. Listen, everyone was amazing, and Gary Graham Saval was the rock upon which Prelude was built. I really believe that story is built on Saval, because of his connection to Enterprise. But the two stars are clearly Richard Hatch and Tony Todd. It's hard to differentiate between Kate Vernon and J.G. Hertzler, but Richard and Tony really kind of, a lot of that's the writing, the characters they're playing, and the writing, Well, we have two totally different actors who are every bit that kind of star quality, but everyone else is freaking amazing. And we have all these actors, including Raj Kala as Commodore Singh, who are just phenomenal. They're Atlanta actors who aren't big time, and you might have seen them, but you don't know who they are as actors. You wouldn't say, oh, that's Raj Kala. But, oh my God, the performances are just, I cannot get tired of watching Raj Kala as Commodore Singh, or Rob Pralgo as Captain April, or Jamie Rennell as Lanyon. They're just so good. And so when you have 19 actors and you have that, everyone is good. And, I hold my own, let's just say, but everyone else is really, really good. Everyone's who's seeing the assemblies is like, oh, it is going to be great. And they're seeing, as you saw, Dave, no VFX, all green screen, no compositing, nothing. It's raw, it's dirty. There's a temp soundtrack. It's just no color correction. And, it's great. So there you go, Raj. Yes, Raj was a wizard in Black Adam, and as was Vince Canlis, who's Tanaka in Axanar. Raj, we love you, man. You are going to be so happy with what we got on film of you. You're awesome. You really, Raj was an actor who I saw just in a lineup. I was just going through headshots on a website, and I was like, who's this guy? His look, he's got a very, he's a Sikh, and he's got that look. He's got the strong features and the prominent nose, and holy crap, Raj looked great. And we brought him in, and I was like, I don't know who this guy is, but I'm writing a part for him. And so, yeah, you saw him.
Oh yeah,
right? He's great, isn't he?
Well, this is the thing. It's amazing that when you can give the actor enough room to breathe and to move, you really get to see. Raj is one of those guys that you just give him enough room to move, and it's like, wow, this is the best of the best. Like it's shocking sometimes, because I've watched some of our people in Axanar, and I've thought to myself, they should be bigger because of the quality they bring. And I don't know enough about the industry, but to me, when I see them, I'm like, why is this person not getting more? We should give them more roles, And Raj is one of those guys. I'm just like, just amazing stuff.
He sucks you in. Raj, I forgot which actor. Raj, maybe you remember which actor you auditioned for. But Raj auditioned for a role, and I don't even remember which one it was, and it wasn't the right role for him. And as a matter of fact, I think I remember giving him something and say, just read this. And he says, I was like, this isn't, just read this. And I was so blown away. And they listen, that's the way, this is how good Raj is. That was the way I cast Kate Vernon as Sonia Alexander in Prelude. I saw her at a convention. She was sitting next to Richard. Richard Hatch and I were bullshitting. Then I knew Kate's handler, and she introduced me to Kate, and we chatted for 15 minutes while my buddy was talking to Richard. And I walked away from the table just going, I got to write someone for this, for Kate. She was so damn good.
Yeah.
And that's with Raj. I was like, I don't know what I'm writing, but I'm writing Raj into Axanar. That's, so I'm glad you feel the same way. So, so Dave, tell me, I told everyone at the beginning kind of like how, that you've been a donor and you kind of stepped up to the plate. And honestly, all Axanar fans and everyone who's watching right now, Mark Lawrence I got to call out Mark Lawrence, one of our longtime volunteers who's been with us for 10 years. Mark gives us a $5 super chat. Thanks, Mark. You're always so generous. We appreciate it. Mark was stuffing envelopes in 2014 when we were sending out perks for Prelude to Axanar. That's how long I've known Mark. So 10 years ago, Mark. So God bless you. It's so great to see you again. And Right Subled is another one of our longtime supporters. Appreciate it. Good seeing you here, Right, as well. Sorry. Let me say. Star says Pee-wee wants camera time. There you go. That's Pee-wee. That's my boy. He's been with us.
You got to write a part next time, Alec. You got to write a part.
He needs a part. He just wants to be on my lap. So anyway, tell everyone from your perspective, Dave, because I can sing your praises all day, and tell everyone that realistically, Axanar is getting made and finished now because of you and Goodney. You brought Goodnison into it. So kind of tell everyone else why. What about Axanar appealed to you? Why did you step up? And someone could say to you, well, what do you get out of it? I mean, right? You're giving us a lot of money to finish Axanar. So give us, you've so eloquently talked about us in the past. Tell the fans who are here why you're a part of Axanar.
Sure. Yeah, I was thinking about this, strange enough, today a little bit more. And I thought to myself, if it wasn't for COVID, I wouldn't be doing this. That's what indirectly led to this. So here in Canada, particularly in Toronto, we went through a lot of lockdowns during COVID. And, they got pretty heavy-handed at times where they were like, no, you can't leave your house. Only one person go to the grocery store at a time. And there was some crazy times, especially at the beginning. But it was on and off for, close to 2 years. And during that time, I worked as much as I could. But also, you've got to keep yourself occupied. So my love of Trek, I was like, I'm going to just invest some time in Trek, rewatch some old episodes, binge watch some stuff. And it made me curious. So I was just sort of fooling around on YouTube one day, looking up Star Trek stuff. And along came, this Prelude to Axanar. And I'm like, what is this? And so I was watching and I'm like, I didn't know CBS had made this. Why wasn't I informed? How do I know? And I was watching this. I'm like, wow, this is fantastic. Is this a new series? Was this a trailer for a new series? I was trying to figure out what it was, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out what it was. So I started, I'm reading comments and I'm digging around, and I started looking up some information. And of course, I came across your name. And I'm like, oh, this is like one of those fan films, which was a bit puzzling to me because the quality was so good. I'm like, wow, fan films have gone to something I never thought was possible. One thing led to another, and I saw that the production was still being made, but there was some struggles. And I went online, I looked more up about yourself. And of course, you have your lovers and your haters, like we all do. Anyone who's in the public, we get our lovers and our haters. But I was able to read through it, and so much of the negativity that I saw had to do with the fact that, one, you kept going, which was kind of inverted. How dare he keep doing this? How dare he keep going? It's like, well, don't you want him to keep going? And it just didn't add up to me. I stood back and I said, here's a guy that's had CBS try and crush him, and he keeps going. And I'm like, that either you're crazy, driven, or both. But I can stand beside someone who's that driven to get something done. And so I saw that you were doing some fundraising, and of course contributed to that. And I did that a couple times. I can't remember the sequence, but I did that a few times. And I remember you reached out at one point and said, hey, you sent an email. Thanks, man. Wow, this is generous or whatever. And I was like, yep, no problem. But then the world opened up and we kind of got past COVID. And I honestly kind of forgot about what I'd done with donations. I was just, the world opened up and your focus, like, we got to get back to work. We got to get things moving. And then it was, you had sent me a box of certain Axanar things and a DVD and said, a Blu-ray, and said, thank you. And it's actually that Blu-ray sitting back there. And I was like, oh, right. I had put money into that thing. I kind of like, right. I'd done that, right? And I looked into it. And then I saw that, as I looked into it, I saw that you were still trying to move forward, but there was a lot of, lot more financial struggle. And so I started talking to you, and you talked to me, and you said, hey, we should talk on the phone through other than email or whatever. And one thing led to another. And when I talked to you, I was like, yeah, I want to stand behind you. I want to help. I think this is a good thing. There's no value in terms of financial gain for me. Right. It's all output. But anyone who really loves Star Trek, anyone that has a love of certain fandoms, whether that's Marvel, DC, Star Wars, Battlestar Galactica, whatever it is, whatever your fandom is, Harry Potter, if you love it the way a fan in their heart loves it, and you have the capability to make something like this happen, then there's really no choice. It comes from your heart. And of course, I needed to discern if this was going to happen. And once I had talked to him, I said, no, this man is going to make it happen. I don't care if he has to stand on a street corner with a tin can. He's going to make it happen. I'm like, I need to get you in a place where you can just do your magic and like open the door. So not to sound sort of diminishing or dismissive of money. Money to me was the smaller task. What you're doing is the real work. I'm just happy to provide some fuel for you. And I want to see, and we are getting Axanar across the line, and I think it's going to be an achievement of epic proportions. And I think it's going to be something that, this may be the one and only time in fandom that they see something this big and this prestigious presented this way. And it's illogical and irrational because why would people just spend money to do stuff like this? But, when you love something, then you understand why you do it. And so I'm blessed to have met you, brother, and I'm blessed to be a part of it. And every moment I'm a part of it, I only have gratitude, because it's somebody asked me once, is it a dream come true? And I said, no, because I would have to have dreamt that such a thing could happen for me to say it's a dream come true. I, in my wildest dreams, never thought I'd have anything to do with making a Star Trek movie. Not in a million billion years. It just was not in my thought process.
Yeah.
So this is all just amazing, and I love every minute of it. And hey, man, it's fantastic. So I have to thank you for allowing me to do that. So I really appreciate that.
We're on this wonderful journey together, and it's amazing that, and I told people, now we're 2 weeks past the final shoot, but I was telling Jeff and Mark after the Tuesday, Wednesday after the shoot, I was just like, life is totally different. I was like, for the past, 6 years, I've been struggling to get this thing in the can, and we did it. We had our shoot, and I'm like, it's all in the can. It's we have we are literally at the peak of Everest, looking out over everything and going, okay, now we just got to get down, which is just as tough as getting up. But you just you feel that it is that weightless feeling you feel when you hit the apogee and you start heading down. That's how, if you know about the airplanes that they take the NASA astronauts up, the Vomit Comet, they go up and then they peak, and it's that peak that creates the weightlessness. And that's where I was, and I was like, oh my God, we did it. Now let's get the rest done. But it is I feel totally different than I did 2.5 weeks ago, before that shoot. And and there's a ton of work, and we're gonna have Mark Edward Lewis on a little later, give an update. But there's a lot of work still, as you know, because I keep you posted. And but it's exciting, and we see the finish line, and we're driving towards the finish line, and we know we got to, we've done A through M, and now we're doing N through Z, and it's all going to get done. And in the meantime, we've got other pieces of Axanar lore that are coming out that other fan filmmakers are putting out, and which is just amazing. It's still amazing to say that Axanar has fan films about it. Yeah. And I think that is, that is something that I think to some people who are not CBS and Paramount, it means something, and people, there are production companies that I don't want to bring their name up to get them in the middle of anything, but there are very famous production companies who are fans of Axanar, whose people are fans of Axanar, who, are like, we can't wait to see what you guys do. Yeah. And it's because we love what we're doing. CBS and Paramount can sue me to the ends of the earth. They're not going to stop me, and I'm sorry that they can't appreciate what we do. Pee-wee, what are you doing? I think Pee-wee wants a break. But we're going to keep doing it, and we're going to finish it. And I think now I'm just like, holy crap, this is really going to be good, because other people are watching the assemblies and going, this is really good. And
it's extremely good. And I guess for me, when I look at it, and you and I have had conversations about this, I still don't understand in fandom where the studios want to make an enemy of fans. I don't understand why that happens. And I see it not only in Star Trek, but in many other properties. And you're like, why are you attacking the fans? Like, I look at what you've done. And of course, I wasn't here for the 10 years. I've been here for a couple of years. You've been at it for 10 years. But at no point in time have I seen you do anything but express love for Star Trek. So to me, it's always a bit like, at what point in time would not these studios say, hey, we don't have to, give them money. We don't have to do anything like that. But we can certainly say, we love our fans, and we're happy our fans are doing some really cool stuff. Best of luck to you. And I don't understand the animosity, not only in certain aspects of Star Trek, but in other places. Why would you as a studio resist the love of a fan? Why wouldn't you embrace them and just be like, it's great? The question I ultimately have is, as a fan of Star Trek and as a fan of many properties, is ultimately, do the people who own those properties, do they, in some ethical or moral way, and maybe that's wrong, owe something to the fans? Or is it something that has no place in it? It's dollars and cents. Fans are not relevant. It's about moving the property in the direction you want to go. And as the owner, we'll do whatever the heck we want to do with that. So, I'm caught between both. I don't know what the answer is, but I do think that if you have something that's been around for 40 and 50 years, there should be some level of understanding that comes with that when you're working on a property. So, and I look at Axanar as, Axanar is a love letter to Star Trek. We love Star Trek. And every one of us, with you at the top, have put our signature on that love letter. And I just do not understand why anyone involved with Star Trek would not see that for what it is. It's the fans saying, we love you, and embracing it that way.
Yeah, I agree with you. Right? I mean, listen, we offered it for free to CBS and Paramount. We said, take it. Let us make it. You take it, do whatever you want with it. Let us make the Blu-rays and give it to the fans. But if you want to put it on, CBS.com, or you want to do whatever you do with it, go make money with it. And if they had just allowed us to make the movie the way we wanted to 7 years ago, we would have been done with it. They would have made millions of dollars off of it. But I think there is a fundamental fear of disrupting the way things were done in Hollywood. One of my very best friends, whose partner is one of the top 20 directors in Hollywood, he said to me, Alec, no one ever lost their job in Hollywood by saying no. And it really is really an important lesson to understand. There's a reason we keep getting the same crap out of Hollywood. Not talking about Star Trek. I'm just talking about, why do we have the fifth retelling of this story? Or you get the same crap out of Hollywood because there's no risk takers there. All the risk takers are up in Silicon Valley, where risk is rewarded. Risk is not rewarded in Hollywood. That's why you get the remake of Knight Rider, which lasted half a season or whatever. And we offered them a way to change the way they acquired properties. So, how about letting fans do what they want, and if it's really good, you take it and you monetize it.
But yes, I don't disagree with that. But when you say there's no risk takers, that's the funny thing, because you can see that by repetitive stories. Here's the thing. There doesn't seem to be risk takers in terms of functionally flowing towards certain narratives, but in terms of damaging studios and hurting their finances, that seems to be a massive risk they're willing to take. As long as they fit inside the box of the narratives, it doesn't matter if we lose the studio X millions of dollars. And so I agree with the concept that there's risk takers, but there's this other point that they're either blind to the risks, or they're just so insulated from the fact that you can lose your job if you don't make a good movie or a good property. And it seems to me that Hollywood just keeps rewarding people who fail at doing great. And it's a bit fascinating to me, because in any other industry, you're gone. You might get a couple of swings of the bat with the right reasons for it, but once you fail repetitively, you got to go.
Well, there is the famous Mendoza line in baseball. The Mendoza line I believe he was a catcher named Mendoza, who batted 200 and was able to stay in the major leagues. And so that's the Mendoza line, meaning you literally can fail 4 out of 5 times and stay in baseball, right? And so, but in Hollywood, it's even worse. I don't know what the Mendoza line is in Hollywood, but there's a lot of people that just fail miserably in Hollywood, and they're running studios now. Which is but I don't know. It is what it is. But we're not going to stop trying to do what we do, because there are people, not at CBS and Paramount maybe, but there are people who appreciate what we're doing and see the value in it. And I'm very excited about our next project, which has nothing to do with Star Trek. And I'm very excited about the people that know about that project and have given us the thumbs up for that project. It's not Star Wars either, I'll just say, but because I'm going to say that I wish it was Star Wars, because Star Wars is an amazing property that loves its fans unconditionally, and they encourage fan films, and all the best fan films are in Star Wars now. I mean, the quality of Star Wars fan films just keeps. I'm going, holy crap! Yeah. Thank God I'm not making Star Wars fan films. I have to up my game about 10x, So we're excited to keep this going and do new and interesting things. And I think we're poised to do things that are going to find people in Hollywood taking notice. I hope so, and I think that'll start with Axanar. And I think it's a big deal that it's been 10 years. Yeah, it's been 10 years since we were released. At 10 years, since we released Prelude and did the fundraiser for the movie. So here we go. And as people have told me, people have said this before. I mean, 50 years from now, is anyone going to know that Prelude to Axanar and its sequels are not canon?
Exactly.
There's a lot of people who go, "Oh wow, that was great Star Trek." We're getting so much. We're getting so much Star Trek of so many different types of Star Trek. And listen, whatever people say, I've gotten in trouble for defending Kurtzman, but I will say, hey, we have Discovery, Strange New Worlds. We also have Lower Decks and Prodigy, which is which are great and groundbreaking in a way. And so we do have a lot of different types of Trek. I wish fan films were one of them that CBS and Paramount gave their stamp of approval on. But
I'm definitely not a fan of Discovery so much. Strange New Worlds it's great. It's great. I like Strange New Worlds a lot, and Lower Decks, it's great. But Discovery, here's the thing: when they brought Discovery out, they had the potential of expanding the universe. We could go in some different directions, but they kind of decided they needed, and I don't know why, to rewrite the existing universe, which I have no idea how that benefits you. Other than we don't have to look at canon anymore. But in terms of trying to grow something, there's so much potential in Star Trek, just like Star Wars, to make a more expanded universe. Strange New Worlds is doing it right. It is doing it the right. Picard, primarily season 3, definitely did it right. 1 and 2 was, again, kind of a rework of, we're going to work inside the same framework, but we're not going to be Star Trek. And it was a bit like, well, this isn't really Star Trek. This isn't what, for me at least. I mean, everyone has their own, of course, opinions about it. But, if we can hang our hat on Strange New Worlds and that there's a potential of an understanding there in Picard season 3, I think we can go the right direction. There's a potential to go the right way.
Yeah, I'm not as people know, I'm not a basher of new Trek as it is. And by the way, Stephen Ross, we need a UFO fan film. Stephen, as you know, because you're a loyal member, Stephen, I love UFO. I am such a geek for that show because it is the perfect synthesis of 1960s and science fiction and 1960s view of science fiction. Whereas I'm not a fan of Space 1999 because I think it gets into schlock. UFO is just so beautiful because it is unabashedly 60s. It is basically Mad Men meets Star Trek. It is the only thing they're missing is, and they do smoke and they do drink in that show. And we can comment about the casual misogyny of the in that show, yes. But it's all beautiful because it's all 1960s.
It's era appropriate.
Yeah, you look at that show and you go, "Oh, this is from the 60s." I get it. Yeah. Go-go girls in go-go boots and short dresses. It's the beauty. So thank you, Stephen, for that comment because you know how much I love that show. Yeah.
Hey, Space 1999 first season was great, and then they did something. I'm not sure what.
Yeah, the first season was better than it was certainly better. It's certainly better than the second season.
They just sort of went. It kind of reminded me of Gene Roddenberry's Andromeda, where they had the premise was being set, and then I don't know what happened. They just sort of reworked the show, and everything went out of sequence, and you're like, I'm not sure what's happening anymore.
Yeah,
where are we? What's happened?
Yeah. It was interesting because. I mean, Andromeda and then Earth Final Conflict are both Roddenberry shows, And if you go back into the 70s, you had Earth 2 as well. Yeah. But all great concepts. But maybe it was because Roddenberry wasn't in control of Andromeda or Earth Final Conflict. I loved Earth Final Conflict, but boy, they went off the tracks hard, in the final season. But all right, well, listen, David, you're going to stick around. We're just going to bring Mark Edward Lewis in, and we're going to talk a little bit about where we are in the process for everyone who's out there, because I see we have lots of new people, and there he is, Mark.
Hey, Dave, how are you? That is a great set.
Thank you very much.
Very nice.
So, Mark, we talked a little bit about our shoot, and I know we've talked previously about our shoot. Kind of tell everyone where we are in the process, what you're working on Axanar. Don't talk about your own project, because lest CBS thinks that's an Axanar project. But talk about Axanar and where we are, assemblies, what's next, without names.
Without names, without saying anything important, and just give the bare minimum.
Yeah, that's right.
Excite everybody so they're excited. Yeah, okay. Got it. So, we finished principal photography after, some incredible performances by the actors that were there. It was just amazing. We've talked about that in previous live streams. And we are now, we're still in what we call the assembly mode, where we're putting things together, just kind of seeing, hey, does this work? Does that work? And Alec and I have another couple meetings to kind of get to what we call soft lock, all these bizarre names. Basically, it means all the actors are in. We like the performances. We like where they are on the screen, because, we shot in 6K, so we can push in, we can pull out, we can put them anywhere we want. And we don't have the visual effects in, or most of the visual effects aren't in, because that's still being done. What that allows us to do is then start work on all the other things that have to happen in post, which include the Foley. So you wouldn't think that when JG or someone else is sitting on camera as Martok, that you need to record anything else. I mean, you got him in the Klingon chair, and he's sitting there on Deep Space Nine, and you're like, oh, he's talking with this iPad. Well, the thing is, anytime he moves, somebody in a studio has to recreate that. They didn't pick that up with the microphone that they had on him in Deep Space Nine. Somebody had to sit there with some leather weird thing, go scrunch like this. That's called Foley. So we have to go through and do all that for all the performances, because we've got some pretty wild wardrobe for some of these characters, especially the Klingons. Even the Andromedans have some very potentially noisy sounding uniforms. So that's not to mention the velour. If you do this, you probably can't hear this on this mic, but that's not nothing. And that the mics that the sound guys did not pick that up. So we have to recreate that. Then there's also the ambiences that have to be done. So there's a bunch of sound stuff that has to be done while we wait for the visual effects. And there's a lot to be done with visual effects.
Mark, also...
Is that vague? Are we vague? Is that vague?
Yeah, that was vague enough. One of the things I realized watching the assembly again this morning, because I watched it with the crew at the studio, was we need an establishing shot for Moreau.
Yes.
Because, I can't take that much credit for it, but that costume is amazing.
Well, we did shoot one.
He looks amazing in it. And we got to, there were times when, I'm watching Moreau and he's like this. I'm like, back off so I can see that amazing uniform.
Yeah, we did shoot.
So good at that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that's left. So once Alec and I have a soft lock, then I'll go back in, because we shot people's hands. We shot the amazing bandolier, or whatever we're calling it. What is that thing called? It's not a bandolier. It's called a...
Baldric.
Baldric, thank you. I should remember that from Blackadder. Baldric, yes. So that we have all these beautiful close-ups on that. So all of these inserts will then go in, because we got the performances we like, we have the timings we like, and then we call it B-roll. All that stuff goes in. So that's not in at the moment, but easy stuff to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And the universal thought this morning was, he killed it. Moreau killed it. The actor he just killed it. And he's, so exactly what, and interestingly, it makes our old Moreau that much better.
It does. I love what all three of our Klingons complement each other really, really well in a way we couldn't have planned. And we were talking about this in our last live, Dave, that if we had released Axanar 3 years ago, back in, well, I guess 5 years ago now, 2019, we would not have the scope. We would not have, like, we're pushing multiple creative processes now that were just never there before. Not just with Axanar, but there's other fan films that are happening now that wouldn't have happened before. And Axanar fan films is what I mean. So it's very, very exciting.
Oh yeah. This is from everything I see almost daily. I get more excited as each day goes by. It's like, how close are we? It's like a kid at Christmas. Christmas is coming. I promise it'll arrive at some point.
Scott Good thinks that Foley is clippity cloppy horse hooves. Like,
how did you know? Yeah, we have that's what the sound is when they're walking across the bridge. That's that sound.
Exactly. So yeah, I mean, it's hard to. It's crazy, but by the end of this year, not only will everyone have 2 more episodes of Axanar, and Axanar will be finished, but there could be half a dozen Axanar fan films in total.
I know there'll be at least 1 more.
Yeah, and we've already gotten 2. So, so the one that you're working on, that's half right there. So, which is really exciting. But I think that's, that speaks. Oh, by the way, everyone. I'm just going to mention to everyone that at 8 o'clock, so when we finish in 13 minutes, Josh Irwin has a live stream about one of his new films, Mother. It's an Avalon Universe fan film. So go on over to Avalon Universe. I think his channel is Avalon Fan Films, but just search Star Trek Avalon and you'll find it, and watch his live stream, because I'm going to try and get over there and watch his live stream too. And we all want to support Josh because he's a friend of the production, and he's doing a couple of different things. He's doing an Axanar fan film. He's also doing an Avalon Universe film set at the Axanar era. So it's different universe than Axanar, because he's in the Avalon universe, not the Axanar universe. But it tells a story. He's basically, hopefully I'm not giving it away, but he basically wants to retell the story of Interlude in the Avalon universe. So same concept, but totally different execution, which is great because, he and I have talked about that. I was like, God, I'd love to take Interlude and like rewrite it, myself but it's been done. He's going to do something totally different, and Crystal is going to be the captain in his production.
Wow. Well, CBS is going to sue him then.
Yeah. Just an actress.
I knew it.
But yeah.
No, it's Alec's plan. He's waiting for it to be done. Then he's going to sue him. Just to see
it
coming.
Awesome, Josh. You used Crystal. Wait, you used Axanar. We love Josh. Josh is amazing.
Yeah, and Josh's family.
And Josh just does such great work. Actually Josh is coming. I think he's talked to Crystal and booked the studio for the end of this month, because I know, because I'm supposed to be in his fan film, and Crystal's supposed to be in his fan film. So Josh is coming to shoot at Aries Studios, and Josh's setup is totally different from what Jeff and Mark did. I mean, he'll shoot with like 2 other people. He'll
grow a third arm and then just do it all himself. Really.
Yeah, he's a hardcore guerrilla filmmaking, and he is crazy. So, all right, Mark. So, and we are in process. Hopefully, we'll see your fan film in about a month or so.
April 1st.
All right, and boy, look at that. He nails that timeline. And then after that, we've got hopefully a month after that, we'll see the first teaser trailer from Axanar. Yeah. And we're excited about that. There's Dale Simpson, our good friend. Dale was supposed to be in the studio today, but he wasn't feeling well, so I kicked his ass home. After he helped with getting Kat's TNR today. So thanks as always to him. But all right, well, listen, Dave, just final thoughts on, what would you say to the fans that have been waiting for so long for Axanar? What are your thoughts on this year?
Oh, yeah. Well, hold on to your hat. Good things are happening. I can assure you from myself that this thing is going to be done this year, and you're gonna love it. It is a new watermark for fan films. It's the high watermark for fan films, and I guess the thing that I would say we all need to be ready for is when everything comes out and people see it and they're gonna love it. What are you going to do with it after that? When they come back and say, I want more, do another one, do 2 more, do 3 more. Because I honestly believe when people see the totality of what's been done, they're going to look at a number of characters and a number of situations, and they're going to say, I want to know more about that. So I want to know more about this guy, and I want to know more about that situation. And when you said that and brought that up, and I think the potential is incredible, And I'm in the business of standing on stages and teaching often. And one of the things we always say, if you're going to present something, leave them wanting more. And I think Axanar is going to leave people wanting more. They're just going to say, can I get another? So yeah, it's coming, and it's going to be great.
Yeah. And one of the things I wanted to do is release a book of short stories for Axanar. And we've got a couple already in the can, including one about Karn, written by a well-known Star Trek author. And I definitely want to get that out, because the more you dive into it, the more stories there are to tell. I mean, I was talking to our VFX artist, and he's like, "Oh, well, I want to slip this ship in," and I was like, "Because he has a model for it," and I'm like, "Well, that's not going to work with." I go, "Oh, wait a second, we make that part of the support fleet, right?" If Garth's got 97 ships going to war, well, there's probably another 50 ships behind him that's hospital ships and frigates and supply ships and whatever, doing all the dirty work, but not staying out of the battle, because that's how that's kind of how it works, right? We always see the Enterprise D. Well, why are we always seeing Excelsior class ships in TNG? Because someone's got to do the real work while you guys go run around the galaxy to, the other side of the galaxy. The Excelsior class ships are the workhorse. They're kind of like, right? They're like the Reliant, the Miranda class. They're doing all the real work. They're the ones shuttling, taking those ambassadors to the planets and stuff. And those kind of ships are an important part of any fleet. If you look at, as Chris Weave, Chris Weave and I always talk about on Starfleet Tactical, the other ships are really, really important. So there's stories there. And I was thinking today about, that's what we need. We need a story about the guy that gets promoted to be the captain of this old ship, to be a support ship at the Battle of Axanar. What about that story? That's pretty freaking cool, right? We gotta tell them. We don't have to tell them in film, though. We can tell them in writing, right? We can do audio drama. We can do all sorts of things, and I think that's, if I do more Axanar, it'll be things like that, not Axanar features per se, and let everyone else do Axanar stories, right?
I mean, the functional foundation of the 4 Years' War really came out with Starfleet Combat Simulator, Starfleet Battles back in the 90s, when my brother and I were kids playing those games, those role-playing games. So there's literally unlimited stories that can be told about that era and that particular 4 Years' War. It's an incredibly rich universe to tell stories in.
Yeah, I think so, and I think we're just scratching the surface, because if we do our job and we create compelling characters, people want to know more about those characters, right?
And we've definitely created compelling characters.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 100%. I still don't know how we're going to work the Death Star into the battle, but we'll figure out. It'll be the ultimate crossover. Yeah. We'll figure out the Mark Hamill voiceover, where it'll go in there. Exactly.
And as Sturb says, we've lit the flame, and we will let others carry the torch. That is a very good way of looking at it, Sturm. So well, listen, Dave, I want to say thank you for everything. We love having you as part of the team. Thank you. And we appreciate you so much. And I'm glad we got the chance to share you with the other fans who are out there. It's been a wonderful ride since you joined on, and it's going to continue. I mean, I can't wait now, because now we're going to start releasing stuff, and it's going to, whether it's internally for the next few months until we have a final release, or if it's other people's stuff, we're really excited about it. It seems like every day I wake up and I'm like, I need to have I got to do this on Axanar, or I got to do that on it's and it's all fun. It's hard work, but it's all it's coming to a head, and we're starting to see it now, and can't wait for it to happen. So, Mark, as always, I will chat with you tomorrow, since you and I have work to do to make this happen. Dave, thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate it. Everyone, head over to Josh Irwin's Avalon Universe channel and watch his live stream about his latest episode, because we want to support Josh. And thank you to everyone who's out there. We will be back not next Friday, because next Friday, Goodney, who's the other half of the Dave Lanyon show, has invited Crystal and I out to an Oscar party out in Los Angeles. So he's very graciously flying Crystal and I out, and we're excited about that. So no Axanar Confidential next Friday, and the week after that, when we get back, I've tentatively got Josh Satin and Brandon, the two camera operators from our January shoot, our September shoot. I'm sorry, Josh came back for this last shoot, but Brandon didn't. Brandon Talbot. Those two guys are YouTubers, and they're awesome guys. And we're going to do a live stream with them and have.
Oh my God! Don't miss that. You're going to laugh a lot. Yeah,
they're great guys. They have their own live stream called 16 Stops. We love them. So they're going to be here in 2 weeks. Hopefully the 7 o'clock time frame hopefully works for everyone, because we're able to get people from Europe to stay up late, and everyone on the West Coast hopefully can see it too.
If I may, Alec, just before you go.
Yeah.
Let me just, for those who don't know this, Alec and his team and Mark, they're a fantastic team, surrounded himself by incredibly good people, and super hardworking, super lovers of Trek. And for me, it's an honor to be around any of those people because of the dedication level. And Alec, you and Mark have just done an incredible job of pulling some amazing people together. And it's been a huge privilege to spend any time with any of them, especially you two esteemed gentlemen. But all of them, the camera operators, everyone, the sound, it's just been incredible. It's just a really, really awesome team.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much, Dave. It's been great. You were the missing piece that made this all happen. So we're real excited. And Mark and I are getting back to work. We talk every day, and there's little things happening every day. So everyone, yes, it's coming. It's coming late summer 2024 here. And
you're going to start seeing some stuff starting in April.
Yes, you are. It's gonna be good. You guys are gonna be excited. I mean, the stuff I've got to do tomorrow, I'm real excited about. And I
get mad that I have to go work with clients. I'm like, just make
I can just work on Axanar full time. Yeah, I know. So, damn, if I just embezzled $1.2 million, I'd have the money to make Axanar.
Yeah, but then we wouldn't need Dave.
Yeah, that's right. We never would have met.
Where would I be?
We would never.
Where's the fun in that? If you'd have embezzled all that, there's no fun.
Yeah, you would do it. All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Please make sure you come back. I want to thank my admins tonight, Alexander Richardson, who has a proud pop of a baby boy who's doing well and is going home tomorrow after 6 weeks in the hospital being born premature. God bless Alexander, and his boy Charlie are going to be reunited. So thank you so much, Alexander. Lissa popped in. Thanks, Lissa, for joining us as well. Lissa's one of the regular admins on Aries Studios. So thank you both. It's great having you. Please head over and see Josh's live stream, and we will be back we will be back in 2 weeks with our camera guys, Josh and Brandon. And hopefully, maybe Mark, we can start making you popping in at the end a little regular. You can keep updating us on what's happening.
Oh,
and then
an idea. Yeah.
And then when Mark comes out with his fan film, we'll certainly be promoting the hell out of that.
That's gonna be great. I'm dope excited about that.
I bet you are. And from Pee Wee and me,
hey Pee Wee,
we want to say thank you. We're going to head over to Josh's live stream now. Thank you so much, Dave. You take care, and we will see everyone in 2 weeks. Cheers.
Take care.